If you're having a hard time starting a song, you're not alone. We all have to overcome that dreaded blank dot. But you need tools and methods to help you out, or else you'll never break through that writer's block. The biggest thing that's helped me is knowing when to curate versus create. And there's a plugin I've been using that's been helping me do both, which is leading me to some really fun and unexpected tracks. That plugin is called Mosaiq from UVI. And today I want to show you how I use it to write music whenever I'm stuck. So let's begin. I always like to start with some kind of vocal loop. It grounds me in a certain mood and I know what I need to play off of. Here's this really fun loop that I found on Splice forever ago. Yeah, this loop is just really fun and wild. It's great. The effects are already baked in, and all I did was just pitch down the loop the second time you hear it. Just really simple stuff. With a sample like this, I want to add drums next. I have a feeling it needs to be high energy, but that's all I know. I need some inspiration. I need some help. So let's open up Mosaiq. Mosaiq can do a lot. Today, I won't show you every nook and cranny, but I will unpack what I think are the very best features of this plugin. When you open it up, you have 8 sound collections to choose from that cover a ton of sonic ground. This loop feels like it'll match up with something from hyperpop, so let's use that. And now there are 3 categories of presets. You have instruments, drums, and kits. We'll touch on all 3 by the end of this demo, but for now, I want to check out the drums. Each of these drum presets contains a curated set of samples. Let's choose this first one called Beep Beep. Mosaiq is different than most instrument plugins. Instead of every key triggering a sound, we only have this single octave to play. The white keys trigger different one-shots or loops. And what's lovely about Mosaiq is that these loops are designed to work together. So you can hold out multiple keys at a time, and the rhythms and character, they're all cohesive. Now the black keys, they trigger 5 interactive effects. In this preset, I have high cut and low cut filters, modulation effects, and a pitch down and up. So the idea is to sprinkle in these effects as you trigger your loops. Another cool thing I like to play with, especially with drums, is this global vari speed control. We can change the pitch, or we can activate the warp control, and now the vari speed controls the pitch and the time. So when it comes to my musical mindset, especially when I have writer's block, this is where it's really important for me to be a curator. Instead of spending the time and energy trying to build a drum kit or create a loop from scratch, I can listen to what's going on and choose what I want instead of creating from nothing. Which, when you're stuck, it's a lot easier to choose than to create. This is why I love reaching for a plugin like Mosaiq, because it allows me to focus on curation. But when it's time to record, there's still an element of creation, so my results still feel unique. So what I'm going to do now is play the loop and try out different combinations of white keys. And maybe I'll throw in a black key to add an effect. And remember, with Mosaiq, I'm focusing on listening and feeling. I just want to figure out what feels right. Okay, so I decided that I really like this groove. So let's record it. Nice. Now I also want to utilize one of those interactive effects with the black keys. I think the modulation effect can be cool, which is triggered by this F sharp. So let's add that. Yeah, that's fun. Let's start there. I'll just do a little bit of quantization to make sure that we aren't too sloppy. Cool, let's get some chords. Here's another instance of Mosaiq, and let's check out liquid breaks this time. Now we're going to choose an instrument preset, and for chords, I want some keys. So let's pick this one, a key called derived. So now our white keys, instead of triggering one shots and loops, are triggering chords. And check out these chords. I feel like I know how to make interesting chords, but there are some in here that are so over my head. Like I know what a D minor 9 is, but what on earth is a F sharp 7, sus2, sus4? So cool, we have some really interesting chords here. Our vocal sample is in D minor, so let's set that key and lock it in. And they have really tasty voicing, so stuff that I wouldn't have thought of, or would have taken me a long time to get there. And each key in that chord has a different sample. To preview that sample, you can click this button here. So altogether, you get a chord with really interesting voicing and a stack of really interesting samples. That's why these chords sound so good. But let's say you want to tinker with the sound, but you don't want to get into the weeds of experimentation, then you're going to love all the randomization options. Right next to the preset name is the generate new preset control, which will give you an entirely new preset, new chords, samples, and effects. But maybe that's too much randomization. Maybe you like the effects, you love the chord progression, and you just want to hear different samples. Then try the mutate button. This is an AI-based sound replacer, so all the samples in the chord get swapped out with intelligent randomization. I'm very happy with the original preset, the chords, sounds, effects. I love it all, so I want to record that. Just like with the drums, I'm going to spend a lot of time listening and feeling. As I trigger different chords, I'll try different progressions, maybe different rhythms. But instead of thinking and playing, I am listening and feeling. So let's see what we get. All right, I like this 4-chord progression, but I feel like on the second half of this progression, I can do this like cool octave glide up by pressing the black key here. So let's try recording it. Yeah, that's perfect. So again, Mosaiq is really helping me just play, feel, and not overthink things. I'm totally getting out of this writer's block. I have something that I actually like. Usually after I have my chord and drums, I have a clear vision for the song. So I might start to depart from Mosaiq and reach for exactly what I need, like a piano or bass. But I want to keep using Mosaiq to show you more of what's possible. So let's get some bass in this track. When laying down bass, I'll need to use Mosaiq a little differently because I don't want to use loops. I don't want to play a chord. I want to play bass on my MIDI like I would any other virtual instrument. And you can do that with keyboard mode. So here's a bass preset called Crushing Day. It's a heavy, sustained synth bass. We have our chords down here, but remember, I want to play this bass like a virtual instrument. To do that, you can click one of these chords to open up the sound menu. And then we'll click the keyboard mode button here. And now we can play this bass however we want. There's a couple of things I want to adjust real quick. First, let's set the bass to mono. And then under key mode, instead of this round robin reset, which pretty much means as I play each note, we will cycle through each of these sample layers like this. Yeah, I don't want that, so I'll select stack, so whenever I hit a key, all the samples will trigger at once, which lets us keep this really cool sound stack. Nice, we have our bass. Now to know what my bass should play, I'm going to open up my chords layer and open up the sounds menu again by clicking one of these chords. And usually the bass note of the chord progression is the first note here. So I'll play the chords layer and pay attention to what note appears here. So we have A, G, and D. So now I know what the bass should play, so let's record that. Nice, this is so good. Now let's just add some ear candy and call it a day. So let's check out one of Mosaiq's kits. Kits are different from instruments and drums. Inside, you'll find a cohesive mix of percussion, melodies, chords, and sound effects. Let's lock our key into D minor and hear how this kit sounds on its own. Let's see what we can curate from this kit. All right, there's some fun stuff in here. I think this white noise loop will be great at the top of the chord progression. And then this quick pluck sound can be cool on the second half of the chord progression. And let's see what these interactive effects can do. Nice, I still really like this modulation effect, so I'll use that on the second half of the loop. Let's record it, but I'm just going to solo the drums and bass and ear candy layers so we can be wowed when we play the whole thing. Super simple, but that's really all we need. I think this white noise is too quiet, so let's increase the volume here. Now let's hear what we made together. And that is how I make music when I'm not feeling inspired. And I hope you can use a curation versus creation principle whenever you get stuck. If you're interested in checking out Mosaiq, there's a link in the description for you. Mosaiq is also part of UVI's Sonic Bundle, which gets you 116 products at a huge bundle discount. There's also UVI Sonic Pass, an affordable subscription which gets you the entire product catalog, so I recommend checking those out. Thanks for watching. Later.